Now, I bet there are many of you out there who rushed home from school every day just so you could watch Dark Shadows on ABC. And I bet that some of you were probably around the same age as our guest today, Sharon Smyth Lentz, when she was cast on the program as the ghost of Sarah Collins, Barnabas Collins' long-dead sister. Well, we're happy to reunite you with Sarah Collins today as we welcome actress Sharon Smyth Lentz to the program. Thanks so much for spending some time with us today.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
There are conflicting stories on the internet. Exactly how old were you when you were cast as Sarah Collins?
I was 10 years old. When I got the job, I believe I was 9.5. I turned 10 while I was on the show.
But you had worked prior to that, so I don't know, would you say you were kind of a seasoned veteran at 10 years old?
I would not use the phrase seasoned veteran. However, I did start in the business at about 5 years old with modeling for Sears and Roebuck's catalog and various other print ads. I did some voiceovers, and I did my first commercial when I was about 6, I believe. It was for Post Sugar Crisps. Mm-hmm. And it was so much fun.
Sure.
I was just a little tiny girl, and they let me run around and act crazy, and it was a lot of fun. I went on to do quite a number of commercials during that time. By the time I was 8 years old, 8.5, I got a role on the soap opera called Search for Tomorrow.
Right. As
a character named Susie Carter. I was on that for a couple dozen episodes, and then did a few more commercials before I got the audition for Dark Shadows. So, yes, I was in the business. Yes, I was very used to it. I don't know about the seasoned professional part because I was just having a good time.
I was going to say, yeah, I don't know if 9-year-olds are blasé about anything, but since you had done Search for Tomorrow, as you say, getting on Dark Shadows was another soap opera, so you kind of knew the routine going in.
Absolutely. I was on Dark Shadows more, and I believe that the role on Dark Shadows and the timing of how they did things for scheduling was a little bit more intense. On Search for Tomorrow, it was very laid back, very easy. My part was very small. It was an accent piece, you know. When
right.
I got to Dark Shadows, it was a long day for a little girl, I can say that. I'm not saying that in a bad way, just
sure.
as a fact.
Yeah.
We were there first thing in the morning. They would do a read-through. They would change the script that you'd had for, a week, and you thought you had it. And then they would take pages out and add things, and you kind of had to go with the flow. Then there was a walkthrough and a dress rehearsal, and then there was a rehearsal right before the show because in those days, now we're talking about, the show ran from 66 to 71. I was on it for 67 to 68.
Right.
The show was what they called live to tape. In other words, unlike today when you do a program like that, you get a few outtakes, you can do it again, stop, start again. This was not done like that. This was done more like theater.
Right.
Once those cameras started rolling, the old adage, time is money, went into play. You didn't stop. If there was a mistake, you carried on just as if you had a live audience. They just went with it. Make it up as you go along if you have to get back on track again.
Right.
So, by the time we were done with the show, and there was some talk about the next the next episode, it was dinner time. It was almost 6 o'clock.
Right.
That's a very long day.
It's funny because over the years, there have been collections of Dark Shadows bloopers, and I always chuckle and say, those really aren't bloopers. I mean, that actually aired on the show. It's not like they were outtakes,
absolutely.
Hidden footage, yeah. Now, of course, you worked with some tremendous actors, but I can't recall if you were ever involved in any kind of a blooper or a misstep.
I don't know that I ever was included in a blooper reel. I couldn't verify that. However, I can, in fact, tell you that there were plenty of bloopers. I can tell you what they are. They weren't horrible, but they were evident when I watch it. I get accused of having shifty eyes sometimes, and followed by the accusation that, you were reading the monitor. I was not that good. to read the monitor and do my part. I was a little girl. I laugh and say I was a very newsy little girl, and I would break the third wall because if a cameraman dropped something or something happened off set, I was just newsy enough that I would look.
Right.
So my little eyes were darting a lot, and some people tease me about that and say, oh, shifty eyes. And there were a few times that my pretty long dress got caught on fake foliage.
Right.
And, pulled a tree here or there, or a tombstone rattled because of me. And I think the biggest one that most people are aware of is David and I. David Collins was the character played by the actor David Hennessy.
Mm-hmm.
We had a scene together in the woods. I don't know that it was the cemetery, but we were sitting astride a log, and there was dialogue. And at some point in that dialogue, one of us dropped a cue. In other words, the single word that you listen for.
Right.
One of us forgot it, and we lost it. And when I say lost it, not you couldn't see that. We lost it inside, and we had a conversation with our eyes that was saying, okay, what were you supposed to say? Am I next?
Right.
What should I do? And we babbled a little bit, just bantering back and forth for what seemed like an eternity, but really wasn't, until we got back on track again. And it was fine. Now, I've watched this scene many, many times because they love to show it. And, it's not that bad. It really isn't. It's just cringeworthy because I know what happened.
That is the charm of it, though. The fact that a lot of the fun of the show is watching, and it sounds terrible, but it's watching you on the tightrope.
Yes.
And
yes.
Are they going to get through it?
Who's there?
Sarah.
Barnabas, I've been waiting and waiting.
You should be home.
I fell asleep.
You must be home. You must go home.
Take me home.
Sarah.
Please walk me home. I'm so sleepy.
Sarah, listen to me. I can't.
Why not?
You must not say you saw me.
Barnabas! You aren't Barnabas! You aren't!
I am.
No!
Sarah! Sarah! Oh, no. Oh, no.
Considering the supernatural elements of Dark Shadows, were you, at that young age, fully aware what you were getting yourself into?
No, I was not completely aware of what the show was.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I had no knowledge of the show Dark Shadows prior to that audition, and my mother certainly didn't have any inkling either. What we were told when we went on the audition, maybe the second time, was that she was a ghost, that she was the younger sister of a vampire.
Right.
But taking it out of context and not knowing all of the gothic romance that was going on around it as well, family drama,
right.
Didn't think a whole lot about it. To be honest with you, it was, my mother, I think, was a little naive. It was a job. So when they called us in for measurements for my little costume, it was just exciting. I was going to wear a period outfit and
right.
Little slippers, and we were happy about that. And we never really looked at the big picture. I can't speak for my mom completely, obviously, but we just did one show at a time and not looking at the whole program, just my part. We were
right.
concerned about my part, make sure that you did what you were supposed to do, be where you were supposed to be, So it wasn't until afterwards, much afterwards, that we really saw it for what it was. It
right.
was like, wow.
I wondered if at the time maybe there was a situation where you were out shopping or something with your mother and somebody who watched the show noticed you and went, oh my God, you're alive, or something like that. You know how people are, they think everything is real on television.
Of course. I never had that particular experience. I had plenty of times out in the real world where I would be pointed at and, there's that girl. You're that girl.
Right.
You're that girl that's on that show. And we got that. but nobody was horrified by it.
Now, working with Jonathan Frid, what was that like?
What a unique experience. At the time, all I really felt was that Jonathan was a bigger-than-life person. Physically, he was a big man.
Right.
He had really big hands, and he could be very, very serious, but on the flip side of that, he was very generous with me. What I mean by that was he knew how to laugh with me. He knew how to treat me like a child, as at the same time treating me like a professional, one of the ensemble.
Right.
I had my part. He knew I was, serious about it, and I wanted to do a good job. But when I would get nervous, and there were times when I really felt the heat, he was the one that would say to me, relax. It's no big deal. We all make mistakes. It's okay. Do your best. That's all that can be expected of you. And that was probably more important and bigger and comforting to me than I could have ever imagined looking back. To have somebody of his stature standing role in the show.
Right.
To say to me, relax. It's cool. It's fun. Let's have fun with this. He was more fatherly to me than brotherly, even though he was supposed to be my brother.
Now, obviously, you've been involved with many other projects outside of Dark Shadows, but Dark Shadows is one of those TV shows that simply does not go away. There are always new generations of fans discovering it, and it's got to be somewhat rewarding and surprising for you.
I know. When I first realized that there was a following many years later, a large following, I was stupefied. I couldn't believe it. I was like, really? Why? But the more that I've become involved in the Dark Shadows community, which I have for quite a number of years now, I feel so blessed to be a part of a show that ended up to be so iconic, that had such an impact on people. I never could have imagined that a television show could have the impact that it did. It's not just, Dark Shadows, spooky. It much, much deeper than that. Many, many layers. I have heard so many stories over the years that have just touched my heart. And I feel, as I said, blessed to be able to still communicate with these people and to speak to new fans. And they've become my friends. Most people that you would consider fans really they're my friends.
Right.
I have thousands of friends, and I'm not boasting. I'm joyful over it.
Right.
I can't believe it. People from all walks of life, many generations that I never would have had any contact with if it wasn't for this show that's just been amazing, bringing people together.
So if someone wanted to catch up with what you're doing online or make any kind of contact whatsoever, what would be the best way to do that?
I have a website. Mm-hmm. It's www.sharonsmyth.net.
Okay.
I also have 2 Facebook pages. One is Sharon Smyth, Smyth, which is more or less my pro page where I show pictures of events that I've been at or maybe where I'm going to be. The other one is Sharon Lentz, Lentz, which is my married name. And that's my main Facebook page, and I welcome anyone to come and join us. There's all kinds of fun things, inspirational. You get to see my animals, and everybody seems to love my animals more than me. They get more likes than I do. But no, seriously, it's a place where I communicate with a lot of people. And please, feel free to friend me, stop by, say hi. I'd be more than happy to chit-chat.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on and chit-chatting with us for a while.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, you take care and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.